This is the mosaic of Emperor Justinian and his attendants. The mosaic displaying Emperor Justinian and his attendants is located on the north wall of the Church of San Vitali, which was built under imperial patronage between 526 and 547 CE. The artists of this mosaic are unknown because some of the art throughout the Middle Ages were unsigned. Emperor Justinian is in the center of the mosaic, with Bishop Maximianus of Ravenna next to him. Maximianus's name is inscribed above his head. Justinian's attendants, clergymen, and the imperial guard stand behind Justinian. The wall behind the figures has a golden hue, showing them to be inside the church. Justinian and the clergy, including Maximianus, are holding a censer, the gospel book, a cross, and the bowl for the bread of the Eucharist held by Justinian. The bowl is also called a paten, a bowl for communion bread. This signifies that the church was a significant aspect of the empire because Justinian was holding one of the most important objects that symbolize Christianity. Additionally, it could mean that Justinian was showing an act of homage and respect to Jesus, whose image is displayed on an adjacent mosaic inside San Vitali. On the left of Justinian is the imperial guard, shown as being bunched up together in the corner of the mosaic. They are wielding a shield which shows the monogram of Christ, Cairo Iota. Justinian is undoubtedly shown as the real emperor in this mosaic because he is shown wearing a purple robe, a crown on his head, and even a golden halo over his head. The halo over Justinian's head makes him equal to Christ, who is shown on the dome with the apse. Interestingly, this mosaic is paralleled with Jesus and his 12 disciples. In the mosaic, Justinian is flanked by 6 soldiers and 6 bureaucrats and ecclesiastics, referencing Christ's 12 apostles. Justinian's attendants and the clergymen are standing behind Justinian in a V-shaped manner, depicting Justinian with utmost importance. However, this makes sense because Justinian is placed in the front and in the middle with Maximianus next to him and the lesser people behind him. Furthermore, when looking at the position of the feet, the power and rank can be clearly seen within the group of individuals. However, the overlapping of feet presents a question of who is really in the front, Justinian or Maximianus. According to the foot placement, Justinian is behind Maximianus, but Justinian's bread bowl seems to be in front of Maximianus's arm, making the emperor in front of Maximianus. There are few theories for this ambiguity. It could suggest that the imperial and the churchly powers are in balance, or that there was a rising tension between Justinian and the church. Personally, I think the church was starting to silently gain more power than Justinian, but the artist did not wish to portray the emperor's weakness at the risk of his or her life. So eventually, both were displayed as equals with some hint of ambiguity. The mosaic shows an ideal of human beauty quite different from the squat, large-headed figures we encountered in the art of the 4th and 5th centuries. The figures in the mosaic are unusually tall and slim, had small feet, and had small almond-shaped faces that showed huge eyes. The bodies show little to no movements except for slow ceremonial gestures, but displayed brilliant patterned costumes. This suggests that the figures in the setting are celestial or heaven-like rather than earthly. This union of political and spiritual authority accurately reflects the divine kingship of the Byzantine emperor. Another interesting characteristic of the figures is the individual likeness. Some features are different, such as Maximianus, but there is a familial resemblance within the faces and the bodies. This has a great influence on later works in the Byzantine Empire. The long, slender bodies, the large staring eyes, curved brows, and the long, narrow aquiline noses can be seen countless times in later Byzantine art.
Another well-known mosaic in the Church of San Vitali is the image of Empress Theodora and her attendants. Even though the church is located in Italy, it is surprising that Theodora has never set foot in the city of Ravenna. In this mosaic, Theodora is shown third from the left. The rest of the women in the mosaic are known to be Theodora's sisters, officials, and ladies of the court. Some noticeable characteristics are that these women are very tall and slim with tiny pointed feet. Their faces are small and almond-shaped, but their eyes are very huge. Their bodies are also shaped as if they are capable only of slow ceremonial gestures and the display of magnificently patterned costumes. It is easy to notice that Theodora's upper body is covered with jewels and gold. Specifically, there is a huge crown with pearls and a golden halo. It is possible that she may have been wearing the pearls for immunity or protection, because pearls were thought and believed to be a medicine or antidote for poison and disease. A chalice is also located at the hands of Empress Theodora and the woman on her right. The chalice functions as a wine goblet, but it is also thought to represent an offering for the Mass, which is a religious ceremony that is performed at the communal Christian worship. It is also thought to be a precious offering to Christ, emulating the Magi, who are wise kings from the East. They are also the ones whom Christians believe brought valuable gifts to Jesus at the time of his birth. In fact, the three Magi can actually be seen on Theodora's purple robe embroidered near the bottom. There is an interesting theory dealing with the churches and the entrance at the left behind the fountain. The curtain may be symbolic of the temple veil. Because Empress Theodora was regarded as a woman high in rank, she may have considered herself to be worthy of being regarded as holy despite her notorious acts. Therefore, she may have been seeking entry into a location that may have been for pure and holy ones only. Now, there are many subtle but fascinating elements depicted in the mosaic. One deals with the curtain and the door on the left. This region is created at more of a two-dimensional pattern, particularly the door, which is why it is not seen very well. The mosaicists chose to avoid the elements of three-dimension and space, therefore using the concept of illusionistic devices. Another subtle point is that the women in the room are seen standing in a room filled with yellow light, yet they fail to cast any shadows. The light may also have symbolized Christ, as his role is shown to be the light of the world. The reason why mosaicists chose to leave these pieces out is that by this time, which is the 6th century, the early interest Christian artists had shown in capturing the appearance of the material world had given way to a newer hieratic style, which was a formal, stately, and static mode of presenting religious imagery with which artists sought to convey a timeless supernatural world. In other words, the mosaic style simply became more exaggerated throughout the years. Finally, this mosaic shows that these ladies are covered in silk garments. One theory about their clothing is that Justinian was known to be an importer of goods, but was unaware of the value of silk. It may have been Theodora who was able to convince Justinian how precious silk was back in the day, allowing Justinian to loot silk from China in order to start a Byzantine silk industry and no longer be dependent on Persia's monopoly. This concludes our presentation of the mosaics of San Vitale, specifically Emperor Justinian and Empress Theodora.